It was a typical morning at Crestwood Enterprises, where the bustling lobby was filled with the sound of shoes clattering against the polished tiles. Employees were busy tapping on their smartphones, discussing deadlines and clinging to their coffee cups as if they held the key to success. Among the unnoticed cleaning staff was a woman named Emma Collins, diligently mopping the floor. Most people paid little attention to the janitorial crew, not out of disrespect but simply out of habit. They blended into the background much like elevator music, present but largely ignored. As Jonathan Parker, the CEO of Crestwood Enterprises, made his way from the parking garage to his office on the 20th floor, he suddenly paused. A voice floated through the air, clear and confident, speaking in a language he hadn't heard since a recent trip to the company's branch in Beijing. Mandarin. It stopped him in his tracks, not just because it was Mandarin, but because of who was speaking it. He glanced around, half expecting to see one of the international sales representatives, only to spot Emma, clad in her navy blue janitorial uniform, engaged in conversation with an older gentleman in a tailored suit. Emma gestured with ease, her voice warm and authoritative as she provided directions to the elevators. Jonathan squinted, recognizing her as the quiet woman he frequently saw cleaning the floors after late meetings. He had never learned her name, yet here she was, effortlessly, conversing in a language most of his colleagues struggled to pronounce. He stepped closer, curiosity piqued. As he approached, Emma finished her discussion in Mandarin and seamlessly switched to Spanish, addressing a delivery man who appeared taken aback. "Gracias," he replied, clearly impressed. Without missing a beat, Emma turned to another vendor standing nearby, instructing him in French with a smile. Jonathan felt a tightening in his chest, not from anger, but from a mix of guilt and astonishment. He had spent over 2 decades in global logistics, overseeing international expansions and hiring translators. Yet here was someone right under his nose who possessed linguistic skills far beyond those of many of his hired experts. He cleared his throat and called out, "Excuse me?" Emma turned, her expression a blend of surprise and composure. "Yes, sir?" He smiled gently. "That was Mandarin, wasn't it?" "Yes, sir." "You speak it fluently?" "Yes." "And Spanish?" "French?" She nodded. "I also speak Portuguese, German, Italian, Arabic, Swahili, and I can read Latin, but I don't count that." Jonathan blinked in disbelief. "You're telling me you speak 9 languages?" "Yes, sir." Her tone was devoid of arrogance, just straightforward honesty. He stared at her, his mind racing to comprehend that a janitor in his building, a woman who quietly scrubbed floors every night, was a linguistic powerhouse. "What's your name?" he finally asked. "Emma Collins." "Miss Collins, do you have a moment to talk?" Her brow furrowed slightly. "Right now?" "Yes, I'd like to have a conversation in my office." He noticed a flicker of hesitation in her eyes. Not fear, but a reflex born from being overlooked. After a brief moment, she nodded. "All right." As they stepped into the elevator, a quiet tension hung in the air. "I've worked here for 12 years, Emma said, breaking the silence. Jonathan turned to her, intrigued. "Never thought you'd be invited up, did you?" He offered a small smile. "You might be surprised at how quickly things can change," though he had no idea just how much was about to shift for both of them. Meanwhile, as the elevator climbed, the few employees who noticed them exchanged glances, curiosity sparking in their minds. Who was this woman in the janitor's uniform accompanying the CEO? As the elevator chimed, they arrived at the executive floor, where the scent of fresh coffee and polished wood filled the air. Jonathan's assistant looked up, wide-eyed at the sight of Emma beside him. He simply nodded for her to enter the office, the assistant's surprise hinting at the potential shift in the company's atmosphere. Inside the glass-walled office, Jonathan gestured for Emma to take a seat. She sat down cautiously, her hands neatly folded in her lap, taking in the impressive surroundings. A world map adorned the wall behind him, each country marked with colored pins. On the side table there was a tray of espresso cups and a framed photo of his daughters. Jonathan leaned slightly forward, breaking the tension. "So, Emma, I have to admit I didn't expect to be having this conversation today." She nodded, her expression calm, but unreadable. "But I just heard you speak 3 languages as if you were flipping switches. I need to understand how someone like you ended up cleaning floors here." Emma hesitated, her gaze drifting towards the window before returning. "Do you have time for the truth?" "I wouldn't have asked otherwise," he replied earnestly. As Emma began to share her story, the atmosphere in the office shifted. Jonathan listened intently, realizing that this conversation would not only change Emma's life but also his own perspective on the people who made up his company. Stay tuned to witness the transformations that will unfold as Emma's remarkable talents come to light, and how they will impact not only her future, but the entire company. As Jonathan settled into his chair, he focused intently on Emma, eager to understand the woman sitting across from him. "So, Emma," he began, leaning forward, How did you end up working here as a janitor with such incredible language skills? Emma took a deep breath, her eyes glancing momentarily out the window before meeting his gaze. I was born in a small town in Ohio. My parents didn't have much, but they always emphasized the importance of education. I was fortunate to earn a full scholarship to Kent State, where I majored in linguistics. I was halfway through my master's when my mother fell ill, she explained, her voice steady yet tinged with emotion. Jonathan listened closely, sensing the weight of her words. Emma paused, collecting her thoughts. I returned home to care for her, and then shortly after my father passed away from a stroke. Everything fell apart. I had a baby to take care of, and with no financial support, I had to find work wherever I could. Her story unfolded like a poignant narrative, revealing the struggles she faced. I worked in grocery stores, nursing homes, and various temp jobs just to make ends meet. Eventually, a custodial supervisor at this company offered me night shifts, which allowed me to pick up my daughter from school and pay the bills. That's how I ended up here. Jonathan felt a profound respect for Emma's resilience. Her determination to provide for her family while continuing to nurture her passion for languages was inspiring. He had spent years in the corporate world, often overlooking the individuals who kept the business running smoothly. Here sat a remarkable woman, a treasure trove of knowledge who had been invisible to him and many others. But what about your language skills? Jonathan pressed gently. How did you manage to keep learning? Emma smiled faintly, a hint of pride emerging in her tone. I never stopped learning. I borrowed textbooks from libraries, listened to language recordings, and read newspapers in different languages. It was the one thing that made me feel like I still mattered in a world that often ignored me. Most people just saw the uniform and assumed I didn't have anything to offer. That last word hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Jonathan leaned back in his chair, reflecting on her insight. The realization hit him like a ton of bricks. He had been guilty of the same assumptions, failing to see the potential in those around him. You're incredibly gifted, Emma, he said, breaking the silence. Have you ever thought about pursuing a career that utilizes your talents? She shrugged slightly. Sometimes, but it's hard to dream when you're focused on just getting by. Jonathan nodded, feeling the weight of her reality. The conversation lingered in his mind, illuminating the importance of recognizing and valuing the contributions of every individual, regardless of their position. Stay tuned as Jonathan contemplates how he can change not only Emma's life, but the culture within Crestwood Enterprises, paving the way for new opportunities and recognition of hidden talents. After their heartfelt conversation, Jonathan felt a surge of inspiration. Emma's story resonated deeply with him, igniting a desire to make a change in both her life and the company's culture. He cleared his throat, leaning forward slightly. Emma, I've been thinking. I didn't expect to have a conversation like this today, but your talents are undeniable. I want to offer you a chance to do something more than what you're currently doing. Emma's eyebrows furrowed in confusion. What do you mean? I'd like to create a new position for you, something that didn't exist before, Jonathan explained. A cultural liaison for international affairs. You could leverage your language skills and cultural knowledge to facilitate communication between our global offices and clients. We need someone like you who can bridge those gaps. Emma stared at him, her expression a mix of disbelief and hope. Are you serious? I don't have any formal experience in a role like that. Jonathan smiled reassuringly. You don't need formal experience. You've demonstrated your capabilities by navigating complex conversations in several languages. You understand cultural nuances that many of us overlook. You're qualified more than most people in our leadership team. As Emma absorbed his words, she felt a whirlwind of emotions. This was a chance she had never dared to dream of. Yet, doubt crept in. But why me? There are others with degrees and experience. Jonathan leaned back, considering her question. Because I've seen you in action. The way you communicate, the way you connect with people, it's powerful. I've realized that for too long we've overlooked talent that doesn't fit into traditional molds. I want to change that. Emma's heart raced. She had spent years working hard, often feeling invisible. Now, here was a man who saw her potential and was willing to give her an opportunity. Yet, a shadow of hesitation lingered. What about my current job? Who would replace me? Jonathan nodded, understanding her concerns. We'll find someone. But know this, no one can replace you. Your contributions are invaluable, and you deserve to be recognized for them. Emma took a deep breath, her mind racing with possibilities. I've never had an office job before, she admitted, her voice softening. You'll learn quickly, Jonathan assured her, and I'll be here to support you every step of the way. Feeling a sense of determination, Emma nodded slowly. All right, then. I'm willing to give it a shot. As they shook hands, a sense of history was made. This was not just an opportunity for Emma. It was a pivotal moment for the entire company. Jonathan felt a sense of excitement about the changes that were about to unfold, realizing that this was just the beginning of a new chapter, not only for Emma, but for Crestwood Enterprises as a whole. Meanwhile, as they left the office, whispers began to circulate among the employees in the hallway. Some raised eyebrows, intrigued by the sight of the janitor and the CEO together. Curiosity spread like wildfire. Who was this woman, and what role would she play in the company moving forward? Stay tuned to see how Emma navigates this new role and the challenges and triumphs that await her as she steps into the spotlight. The following day, Emma arrived at Crestwood Enterprises with a mix of excitement and nervousness. Her mind was buzzing with thoughts of her new role as the cultural liaison for international affairs. As she walked through the lobby, she noticed familiar faces turning to look at her, their expressions a blend of curiosity and confusion. Was it just yesterday that she had been cleaning the floors and now she was stepping into a position that would allow her to use her talents in a meaningful way? Jonathan met her at the elevator, a warm smile on his face. "Ready for your first day?" he asked, his enthusiasm contagious. "I think so," Emma replied, her voice tinged with uncertainty. "What should I expect?" Jonathan explained the plan for the day, which included meetings with various department heads to discuss upcoming international projects. The idea of speaking up in those meetings was daunting, but Emma reminded herself of the responsibilities she would be taking on. This was her chance to shine. As they entered the conference room, Emma felt the weight of the moment. The executives gathered around the table looked at her with a mix of skepticism and intrigue. Jonathan introduced her, highlighting her language skills and her new role, and Emma could feel the eyes of her colleagues on her, sizing her up. "Emma will be handling communications with our international partners," Jonathan stated confidently. "She brings a wealth of knowledge and experience that we need." The room fell silent for a moment, and then one of the managers, a sharp-dressed man named Robert, spoke up. "No offense, Jonathan, but can she really handle this? We've always relied on external translators for these situations." Emma felt her heart race at the challenge. "I understand your concerns, Robert," she said, her voice steady, "but I've been working hard to learn these languages for years. I know the nuances and cultural context that will help us connect better with our partners." A ripple of surprise passed through the room. Emma's assertiveness was unexpected, and Jonathan noted the change in atmosphere. He could see that they were beginning to recognize Emma's capabilities. The meeting progressed, and Emma contributed where she could, offering insights and suggestions. As she spoke in fluent Spanish during a discussion about a project with their branch in Mexico, the executives began to nod in approval. Even Robert seemed impressed. After the meeting, Emma felt a surge of confidence. She had navigated the initial challenge and proven herself to some extent. As she stepped out of the conference room, several colleagues approached her, offering congratulations and encouragement. For the first time, she felt like she belonged. However, not everyone was pleased with her promotion. Whispers circulated through the office about how someone without a formal degree was now working at the executive level. Emma overheard snippets of conversations, but she chose to focus on the support she was receiving. That evening, Jonathan stopped by her office. "How did it go today?" he asked, genuinely curious. "It was a lot to take in, but I think I did okay," Emma replied, a smile breaking through her initial anxiety. "I knew you would. You've got what it takes to excel in this role," he encouraged. "Let's keep building on this momentum." As Emma prepared to leave for the day, she felt a sense of determination swell within her. She was ready to prove that her past experiences and unique perspective were more than enough to succeed in her new role. Stay tuned to see how Emma navigates the complexities of her new position, faces challenges head-on, and ultimately reshapes the culture at Crestwood Enterprises. As the days turned into weeks, Emma settled into her new role as the cultural liaison for international affairs. The initial excitement began to blend with the reality of her responsibilities. While many colleagues were supportive, a palpable tension lingered in the air. Not everyone was thrilled about her promotion, and whispers of discontent echoed through the corridors of Crestwood Enterprises. One afternoon, Emma was called into a meeting with Victor, the head of the international operations. He had a reputation for being tough and demanding, and Emma felt a flutter of anxiety as she entered his office. "So, you're the new liaison," he said, barely looking up from his clipboard. "I hope you understand the stakes here. We have contracts to manage, and I don't have time for mistakes." Emma took a deep breath, trying to maintain her composure. "I'm aware of the importance of these contracts, and I'm prepared to dive in," she replied, her voice steady. Victor raised an eyebrow. "You have any experience in corporate environments? This isn't just a language game." "No," Emma admitted, "but I've been navigating complex situations throughout my life, and I'm committed to learning quickly." He dropped a thick folder of documents on her desk. "These are reports from our Italian partners. Review them and identify any issues. I expect a briefing by the end of the week. As Emma pored over the documents, she felt the weight of the responsibility pressing down on her. The reports were dense with technical jargon, and she knew she had to prove herself. She spent late nights at the office, cross-referencing translations and seeking clarity on unfamiliar terms. With each passing hour, her confidence grew, but so did the pressure. Meanwhile, Jonathan was aware of the murmurs around the office. He had made a bold move by promoting Emma, and he was determined to support her. During a team meeting, he addressed the skepticism head-on. "I understand there are questions about Emma's qualifications," he began, scanning the room, "but I've seen firsthand how she navigated challenging conversations with international partners. It's time we recognize that talent comes in many forms." Some employees nodded in agreement, but others remained skeptical. Emma could feel the tension in the air, and it motivated her even more. She knew she needed to demonstrate her worth, not just to her colleagues, but to herself. One day, Emma was tasked with leading a meeting with a delegation from Brazil. Jonathan encouraged her to take the lead, believing it would be a pivotal moment for her. As the executives filed into the conference room, Emma felt her heart race. She greeted them in Portuguese, and the atmosphere shifted instantly. The Brazilian executives responded positively, their expressions changing from guarded to engaged. Throughout the meeting, Emma confidently facilitated discussions, addressing concerns and clarifying points. When one of the executives made a joke, Emma shot back a witty response in Portuguese, eliciting laughter and breaking the ice. She could see the respect in their eyes, and that fueled her determination. After the meeting concluded, one of the Brazilian executives approached her. "You handled that exceptionally well," he said, a genuine smile spreading across his face. "It's refreshing to work with someone who understands our culture." Emma's heart swelled with pride. She had successfully bridged the gap between her company and its international partners, proving that she belonged in this role. However, the challenges were far from over. Later that week, Emma received a summons to meet with Eleanor Craig, a senior board member known for her sharp tongue and high expectations. As Emma made her way to the meeting, she felt a knot tighten in her stomach. What would Eleanor say? Stay tuned to see how Emma confronts the challenges ahead and whether she can continue to prove her value in the face of adversity. Emma walked into Eleanor Craig's office, her heart pounding with a mix of anticipation and apprehension. Eleanor, known for her no-nonsense approach and keen eye for detail, sat at the head of a long table, reviewing documents with a focused expression. The atmosphere felt tense, and Emma could sense the weight of scrutiny in the air. "Have a seat," Eleanor said, glancing up briefly before returning her attention to the papers in front of her. Emma sat down, straightening her posture. "Thank you for meeting with me, Miss Craig," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. Eleanor finally looked up, folding her hands. "I've reviewed your file and your recent performance. I must admit I have concerns. You lack a formal degree and substantial corporate experience, yet here you are, managing high-level international affairs." Emma swallowed hard but met Eleanor's gaze. "I understand your concerns. However, I believe my skills and experiences allow me to handle this role effectively. I've already made progress in our negotiations with our Brazilian partners and addressed issues with our Italian contracts." Eleanor raised an eyebrow, clearly unimpressed. "You think this company should operate on instinct and charm alone?" "No, ma'am," Emma replied firmly. "I believe it should be run on results. My background may be unconventional, but I have been successful in connecting with clients in ways that others haven't. I can bridge cultural gaps, which is crucial for our international dealings." Eleanor leaned back in her chair, her expression unreadable. "You're a gamble, Emma. This is a high-stakes environment. I've faced challenges all my life," Emma responded, her confidence growing. "Every day has felt like a gamble, but I've always found a way to succeed. I'm not here to play it safe. I'm here to make a difference." The tension in the room shifted slightly as Eleanor regarded Emma thoughtfully. "You do realize there will be backlash, don't you? People will question your authority and your qualifications." "I'm prepared for that," Emma said, a fire igniting in her eyes. "I've already faced skepticism, and I'm committed to proving myself through my work. I want to show everyone that I deserve to be here." Eleanor closed the folder in front of her, a hint of respect appearing in her demeanor. "You have tenacity, and I can appreciate that. But you'll need to be strategic about how you navigate this environment. Not everyone will be supportive." Emma nodded. "I understand. I'll focus on delivering results and building relationships. I want to change perceptions and demonstrate that talent can come from unexpected places." After the meeting, Emma returned to her office, feeling a sense of relief mixed with determination. She was ready to take on the challenges ahead and prove that her unique perspective was an asset to Crestwood Enterprises. As news of her meeting with Eleanor spread through the office, some colleagues began to warm up to her. They approached her with questions, seeking her insights and advice. Emma noticed a shift in the workplace culture as she started to gain recognition for her contributions. Jonathan, too, noticed the change. He observed how Emma was becoming a go-to person for advice on international matters, and he couldn't have been prouder. During a casual chat in the break room, he said, "I've heard great things about your work lately. You're making a real impact." Emma smiled, feeling a swell of gratitude. "Thank you, Jonathan. I'm just trying to do my best." Stay tuned to see how Emma continues to break down barriers and reshape the culture at Crestwood Enterprises, proving that true talent knows no boundaries. As weeks passed, Emma continued to thrive in her role as the cultural liaison at Crestwood Enterprises. With each successful meeting and negotiation, she gained confidence and respect from her colleagues. Yet the true test of her resilience was yet to come. One afternoon, Jonathan called an all-staff meeting to announce a new initiative aimed at promoting diversity and inclusion within the company. The atmosphere in the conference room was charged with anticipation as employees gathered, curious about what Jonathan had to say. Emma sat among them, her heart racing at the thought of being included in a significant company-wide announcement. "Thank you all for being here," Jonathan began, his voice steady. "Today, I want to highlight the importance of recognizing and utilizing the diverse talents we have within our organization. Too often, we overlook individuals based on their roles or backgrounds." Emma felt a surge of pride, knowing that her journey had inspired this moment. "That's why I'm excited to introduce our new Cultural Liaison program," Jonathan continued. "Emma Collins has been doing incredible work in this capacity, and I believe she can help us further develop this initiative." The room buzzed with murmurs as Jonathan shared Emma's journey, from her humble beginnings as a janitor to her current role bridging cultural gaps for international affairs. As he spoke, Emma felt a mix of gratitude and disbelief. She had never imagined her story would resonate so deeply with others. When Jonathan finished, he turned to Emma. "I'd like to invite her to share her experiences and insights with all of you." The spotlight shifted to Emma, and she stood up, her heart pounding. Taking a deep breath, she began, "Thank you, Jonathan, and thank you all for this opportunity. My journey hasn't been easy, but it has taught me the value of resilience and the importance of recognizing potential in everyone, regardless of their position." As she spoke, Emma shared her experiences, emphasizing how her background had shaped her perspective. She encouraged her colleagues to look beyond titles and uniforms, reminding them that talent often hides in plain sight. "We all have unique stories that can contribute to our success," she said. "Let's work together to create an environment where everyone feels valued and empowered." The room erupted in applause, and Emma felt a wave of warmth wash over her. In that moment, she realized that her voice mattered and that she was making a genuine impact. However, not everyone was applauding. After the meeting, Emma overheard a few employees whispering doubts about her qualifications. "How can someone without a degree lead a program like this?" one of them said. While it stung, Emma refused to let negativity deter her. Instead, she used it as fuel to prove her worth even further. The following week, Emma was invited to speak at a major logistics summit in Cincinnati. Jonathan encouraged her to share her story with a broader audience, and she accepted the challenge with enthusiasm. On stage, she articulated her journey, emphasizing the importance of recognizing talent across all levels of an organization. "I was never just a janitor," she stated passionately. "I was fluent, I was capable, I was ready, but nobody ever looked long enough to see it." Her words resonated with the audience, earning her a standing ovation. As she stepped off the stage, a young man approached her, tears in his eyes. "My mom's a housekeeper," he said, "and she speaks 3 languages. Your story has given me hope." Emma smiled, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. This journey was about more than just her own success. It was about inspiring others to embrace their stories and talents. Back at Crestwood, the company culture began to shift gradually. More employees reached out to Emma for guidance, wanting to learn from her experiences. She became a mentor, helping others navigate their own paths in the company. As her nameplate was mounted outside her office, Emma Collins, Cultural Liaison, she felt a sense of accomplishment wash over her. This wasn't just a title. It was a testament to her journey and the doors that had opened because of her determination. Follow along to see how Emma continues to champion diversity and inclusion, paving the way for future generations at Crestwood Enterprises and beyond.